So I apologize for the quality of the video. I am using an iPhone 16 Pro Plus, and iPhones are not good when you're trying to film at night. I'm sorry. I do have other videos where I've captured the same type of phenomenon again, and I'll leave that link in the description. This was the third attempt of me trying to get this. I kept seeing it fly in the sky. The other two videos are garbage. They do this no justice. This little small clip that I'm showing you. You know, it's the best I can do. But I have seen these things multiple times. We are just a few days removed from the initial alien disclosure. I've been warning people for years, and I've made myself look like an idiot when I talk about this stuff. Many people, especially Christians, they do believe it is a psyop. Of course, I believe it's a psyop. The movies and all the television shows that put this stuff right in front of your face, it's clear that they're wanting you to believe certain things. But what people also aren't seeing is there are other elements of this psyop. And it's people that you probably trust, although I've been calling some of these individuals out for years. Influencers today, especially with big platforms, they're not where they're at through merit, and it's just coincidence that they blew up, and now they're here and they have large voices, especially when it comes to these certain topics. Guys like Timothy Alberino, whoever else. Oftentimes as well, you'll see these guys are always filmmakers. They have some kind of hand with that type of lifestyle choice. Again, they do filmmaking, they make a bunch of documentaries, things like that. I'll be leaving, again, links to the description of other videos where I've talked about some of these individuals. Again, now, the thing is this is one of the biggest misconceptions about this whole process. You see, they want you fixated on the technology. I've stated before on this channel that, I think this stuff is mostly military, and we've actually crafted it. Do you understand? We built this stuff. You guys do not understand how far technologically sound we are today. And they don't reveal to us a lot of things that they've been working on for decades, if not, hundreds of years at this point. Not hundreds, but probably in the last 100 years alone. World War II, we saw an advancement, the atom bomb, whatever else. Just like how it's written in Daniel, we're progressing pretty fast, you understand. But the stuff that we have, our iPhones, whatever else, our PlayStation 5s, if you think that that's the most up-to-date technology that they can give the public, I don't know what to tell you. Now, again, you see that these charismatics, they want you fixated on the technology. They come out and they're like, there's no way this could be made by humans and everything else. I'm trying to tell you it was made by humans. These things do not like to labor. They see themselves as gods. This is what I'm trying to tell you. If you read the Bible, nowhere does it say that a demon or, whatever else built these things. Tower of Babel, for example, it was humans that made the Tower of Babel, guys. It's a ziggurat, but you see that there are other ziggurats across the world, like in Mayan culture, South America, Mexico, whatever else, Aztecs, whatever else. Even in India, these types of structures are found everywhere, and they're finally starting to tell you how the Amorites and Canaanite, Phoenician type stuff they found here in America. But people, they don't look at this stuff. They don't research this stuff. And you don't have to look on conspiracy theory websites to see this. They do tell you this on the news. It's just people do not pay attention to this stuff, But that's neither here nor there. We created the Tower of Babel. You understand? They want you to think that aliens created the pyramids, everything else. I'm trying to tell you, these things see us as slaves. They did not create this stuff. Now, this is another thing, another pattern you're going to see when you do start researching this stuff. Michael Hauser himself said that we built the pyramids also. He was a highly educated man. He knew people who were testing out theories and things like that. He even brings up a case where one of his buddies, again, who was working on these types of things, managed to build a pyramid in his backyard, and the techniques. But that's neither here nor there, you understand? Just like we built artificial intelligence, guys, these things did not build it. Now, again, the pattern that I'm going to mention to you, we find that oftentimes people like Jack Parsons, they communicated with these things, you understand? And there's always a transactional deal, regardless. But the Nazis communicated with these things. This is not conspiracy theory. They have documentaries on this. They were into the occult. They were looking for biblical artifacts, whatever else. The spear of destiny, which was allegedly the spear that pierced Jesus Christ's side. The Nazis were actually looking after stuff like this. They were trying to build technology like time travel, things like that. Allegedly again, but I think this has been proven. We got our stealth bomber design from the Nazis. Go ahead and look that up yourself. None of this stuff's really conspiracy. It's not crazy at all. Even when it came to wires back around World War II time, we were in competition with them. And one of the stories is we sent them this small wire, to kind of show off, look what we can do. The American government to the Nazis during World War II, the Nazis sent it back with a hole in it. You know what I'm saying? Read these type of stories. Again, this is not conspiracy theory, but this is with wires. Now, today, we're talking about things such as nanotechnology. Guys like L.A. Marzulli, again, who's a charismatic and ufologist / preacher, again, he was not always like this. When he was with, I forgot his name, he used to do real work back in the day, but now he's more fixated on this ufology crap. You know what I'm saying? It's these very influencers that are trying to set you up with a narrative, and people are really biting into the narrative. But Jack Parsons himself, Jet Propulsion's Laboratories, he claims himself that he received his recipe for the rocket from the Antichrist himself. You understand? This is what he claims. Do you understand? John D., look up that figure. He talked to these creatures. He supposedly was given the Enochian language and things like that. Again, the Nazis communicated with these things. Again, Himmler, Hitler, they're all into the occult. Hitler himself was highly into Blavatsky and her work of Theosophy, guys. These type of things, again, they're not conspiracy theory. These things are out there in the open. They'll broadcast on the History Channel, whatever else. This is not crazy what I'm telling you guys. And I'm trying to tell you today, nothing has changed from the past to today. It's just not the way it is. We see in the Garden of Eden, if you are a Bible-believing Christian, which I am, and I'm not saying that I wholeheartedly believe everything that's in the Bible, but I'm finding out as day by day goes by that there's no way to deny the Bible and there's no denying God's word. He always seems to be right. And I'm willing to bet that at the end of the day, he is going to be right. He is right. You understand? But Garden of Eden, it's the same type of transaction. He beguiled Adam and Eve with knowledge and to be as gods, Elohim. And this has always been the case throughout history. Do you understand? All the world's governments, we are told that the God of this world is the enemy, whose name I don't want to say, but you all know who I'm talking about. All the nations have corrupted themselves and made pacts with this thing. That's all I'm trying to tell you. And it's no different today with our government. It was no different than with the Nazis, guys. All the world leaders, I believe, are compromised, and they all work for the enemy. For it is written that the God of this world is the enemy. To me, none of this is shocking. But they want you to believe that these things, oh man, that's crazy. I wish I would have caught that on camera. Wow. It's going crazy tonight. Like I said, the beginning of this video, that was the third attempt. I could have just caught one right now, but I'm walking and talking, still looking at the sky as I'm doing this video. Man, I wish I would have caught that one. But regardless, guys, we built the Tower of Babel. That word literally means gate, gate of God, Babel. Go look this stuff up. But regardless, these things were built all over the world. We built artificial intelligence. Extraterrestrials, whatever else, did not create this. They taught us warfare, especially if you believe in apocrypha, such as what's written in Enoch and other apocryphal books. They taught us even how to use makeup, things like that, poisons. But really what they were teaching was, again, sorcery, things like that, pagan occult practices. And it's been passed down forever. And just like today, although people can't see it and they don't equate it, these things have always required sacrifice, especially sacrifice of children. Abortions, again, no one likes to talk about this stuff, was the leading cause of death consecutively for the past few years. And we're talking about in the tens of millions. We're talking about last year alone surpassing the kill count for World War II. And people are finally starting to be open about this type of stuff as well. But we know that in the past, all the kings of the past, again, if you believe the Bible, which I do, they sacrificed to things such as Moloch. Human sacrifice was part of a lot of nations' just normal tasks that they do every day. And you do it for power, prosperity, but again, knowledge and whatever else, fertility, whatever it is that you're doing it for, that you're willing to sacrifice your own child for, spilling blood, things like that. But I'm telling you, it's no different today. Our governments, for technology, for knowledge, for recipes, whatever else, they still convene with these things and they communicate with them. You understand? And it's never changed. These craft, again, when I first saw this, it was about 2 years ago. I saw this weird little fuzzy light, which was about maybe 400 to 500 yards from where I was sitting in my backyard. I was smoking a cigarette in the backyard. I was not drinking because I don't like to drink and I don't like any kind of intoxicant other than cigarettes. Cigarettes has always been my vice, but prior military as well. I just wasn't into drugs, guys. I never got into that crap. But regardless, chilling in my backyard, I see this weird looking oval shaped rounded object. It's fuzzy, emitting fuzzy light, and it's moving weird. And as soon as I pull out my phone to grab this thing, it was able to darken its lights to where it was harder to see, but I could still pick out the silhouette. And it looked like it was just using a reflection of the night and like the stars and everything else to help blend in more. You know what I'm saying? And at this point, I knew this is definitely man-made. You understand? And again, a guy like L.A. Marzulli is telling you that they're finding abductees with certain probes, a metal detector you can use, or whatever you use to find a baby as well. Sonograph, I believe is what it's called. They're able to find these things and other abductees or whatever else. And again, they're here telling you that this technology is so unbelievably sophisticated and everything else. I'm telling you guys, we've already done things such as the atom bomb, which has been man-made, the most destructive type of device. But I'm telling you, they got other stuff. And they've not revealed this stuff to us. Now, when it comes to aircraft, let's say, it can maybe defy certain things that you're not used to seeing, I'm telling you, they got this type of technology, and this technology was given to these people. You don't even know what they have. And a lot of this deception is man-made. We built their temples, as I always tell you people. We sacrificed our children and bloodshed for these things in exchange for information, more knowledge, but especially when it comes to warfare, deception, espionage, makeup. Again, we see this process through to modern day times, and we're seeing that a lot of this stuff has been staged and a lot of it's been contrived. And it's been dangled out there. You know, these things, you want to look younger? We'll do things like this, you know. Let's add lip plush, you know. And we're getting more to the transhuman agenda, which is what I want to end this video on. You know, this is about corrupting mankind. The technology, everything else is a deception. Again, the enemy can only counterfeit. I know this video is kind of jumbled. It's all over the place. I don't format my videos, and I always just talk from the heart, from the gut. But, you know, you see that they've started this process of using prosthetics and altering your body, augmenting your body through women for the most part. Plastic surgery, again, you want to look younger, you know, for longer. They're essentially grooming you to believe that you can eventually be, you know, immortality is going to be the end game for them. But, you know, here's a way to look younger for longer. You know what I'm saying? They're already trying to do subtle things, not only claiming that you'll be prettier and whatever else, but again, this is all moving towards a fake, false type of immortality, artificial immortality. You understand? And again, you're defiling yourself. You're going against what God, which is written in Psalm 119, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And other places, such as like in the book of Jeremiah, when he talks about woe to those who strive with their maker, you know, trying to claim that the pots need handles. You understand? This stuff is written all throughout the Bible. And again, I can't call myself, you know, this holy man and I'm better than thou. That's just not the case. I'm a sinner just like everybody else. You understand? Not trying to put myself on a pedestal, but the Bible is very accurate. And I think people, when they finally start to take God as his word, something that Adam and Eve failed to do, but mankind in general, generation after generation, has committed this same mistake time and time again. There's been plenty of instances of what occurred in the garden. And I'm telling you that our world governments have been aligned with these things and have always had transactions with these things. And, you know, the type of bartering system has been the same that it's always been. And we know the spilling of blood, especially children, has been a constant theme even today. And we're talking about leading cause of death again, being abortion. These things are being empowered by this type of stuff, just like they were in the past. When you study the world religions, you know, spaceships and aircraft and all this other crap, that's never been nothing new. You understand? But another thing that they don't want you to really pay attention to is how these things get here. And typically these are written as gates and doors. Jacob's ladder kind of explains a situation that sounds like a gate. Tower of Babel itself, it's not just confusion, but look at the other meanings. It means gate, gate of the gods, Babel, El being God. You understand? You have to look these things up. But pop culture, everything else kind of ruins us. And again, these things do not labor. They want to be exalted. They want to be worshiped. Labor is beneath them. They just want what they want, and they are willing to provide, you know, little shiny dangling things that they want to dangle in front of our face that gets us to accept their terms and whatever else. And this has always been the case, man. This is what I'm trying to tell you. It's no different with Hitler and Nazis. You know, they came close to, you know, conquering the world. They were able to do massive amounts of damage over there to Europe, France. You know, they had technology again, our stealth bomber. But this stuff, you should not be moved by this nonsense. Another thing about the enemy, he does not possess what the Lord our God possesses. He's a counterfeit, as I keep trying to tell people. God has the ability to bara, speak creation into existence. You understand? The enemy does not have this ability. He doesn't. But he's going to use technology and everything else to counterfeit and deceive and fool people into believing this stuff, which is what's happening to many people today. And I've been in arguments before with people when it comes to guys like Timothy Alberino and whatever, who I do believe are part of this process of deception. And they're here to, once again, hype something up and get people to move in this certain direction of belief. But, just like how God is actually omnipotent and all-knowing, omniscience, the enemy does not have this ability. He is a finite creature, just like you and me. You understand, God is what is everlasting. God is what is actually all-powerful, is what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. But we see with these data centers, everything else, other uses of technology, the enemy's gonna, is his perception and his knowledge greater than ours? Yes, that's without question at all. We're told, I forgot which book in Isaiah, when mentioning the king of Tyre, but we see this transition where it's actually talking about the enemy himself. And he tells us that was wiser than Daniel and things like that. You were made perfect. You had your tablets and pipes when you were made, thus and thus, you understand. But this technology he's like a magician for the most part. Is he powerful? Yes, he is, according, compared to us, but to God, he's nothing. You understand? He might as well be a cockroach. And that's still belittling what God is compared to him by massive, unforetold amounts, guys. But he's going to use technology to deceive us into thinking that he's omniscient, all-knowing, omnipotent. He can only deceive. And this is the whole point of technology. Technology is part of this process, guys, that is used to deceive us. And in the future, when we do get to the mark, you understand, notice that this stuff, as I've been telling you, it's artificial. Augmented reality, artificial intelligence. This is all leading us to be artificial. Technology obviously is going to be a big part of this. We're also told in like books of Revelation, pharmakia, pharmacon, meaning poison. And if you're referring to a person who practices sorcery, witchcraft, again, that word that's being used is actually called pharmacon, poisoner. Pharmakia, again, which is poison. You understand? What's funny, there's this guy, Alexander Dugan, I've been looking up. But one of his mottos is we're going to cure you with poison. This has always been the case when it's come to witchcraft and people that are crafting things. Even our medicine, there's a reason why these things need a toxicology report to go along with it. Because again, if you take too much of what they claim is going to cure you, it can actually kill you. So you have things such as toxicology reports that go with this type of quote unquote medicine that they tell you to take. But also pagan religions, things like that, hallucinogens and that type of stuff were always needed. And we see this still with people like Aleister Crowley. These people were not sober. You understand, when they were doing this stuff. You have to get high. They want you medicated. They want you poisoned. Do you understand? They want you defiled. But this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Technology, this is part of the huge deception. This cell phone that I have in my hand is one of the biggest uses of deception. This thing is like our personal little pocket handheld God, where we can go, we can get answers. Now it's been incorporated with artificial intelligence. But again, this is all about making mankind into something new and artificial, not as what God built and intended, guys. This is the whole point. And when these guys like the L.A. Marsulis and the Timothy Alberinos are trying to tell you, hey, you got to understand the complexity of what this all is. Guys, there's not much complexity to it. Oh, you built something, as I mentioned the wire earlier during the World War II incident, where we were here trying to brag to the Nazis, look at our wires, look how small we can have them. And they sent it back with a hole in it. It took them a while to even understand what they did because the hole was so small that the Nazis were able to put into it. They didn't understand what it was. Like, why did they send it back? Then finally they understood. They're to put a small hole through this wire that was ridiculously small. Again, nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, another thing. You got to understand, this all models a spiritual kingdom. The internet, for example, connectivity, how it connects us even though we're not in the same vicinity. This is basically bringing how these spirits operate wherever they reside in. Okay, I know I'm getting too deep right now, but all this technology is a counterfeit to, how the true Most High operates, what he's built and what he's created. And what makes him distinct, again, is that he is the actual created. He is not a finite created being. He is something unlike anything compared to us or the enemy. And he does not need deception. When he declares these things, he does not use cunning. He does not do this stuff in secret. And this is why it's really, really important that I think people need to start getting into their Bibles. Again, to me, this stuff is just advanced technology that they've not unveiled to the public for the most part. The artificial intelligence and the images that they show you today, again, they've been having this stuff. If you read up on the history of artificial intelligence, the big investment boom was actually in the 80s, early 80s at that. Again, not conspiracy theory. You can easily look this stuff online. They've been planning this nonsense out for the longest time. And there's been plenty of whistleblowers, people who've been killed or whatever else, who've warned us about this stuff. But most importantly of all, the Bible has warned this stuff to us. Do you understand? You need to get to the point where Adam and Eve and every other human being on this earth has failed to take the Lord of the world, of the Lord our God, at his word. Because he's not like a man that he should lie, nor is he a son of man that he should repent. And this was a soothsayer that prophesied this in the Bible. And one of the earliest prophecies about the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. You understand? I'm talking about Balaam. But regardless of all that, Adam and Eve did not take the word of the Lord, at heart. This is how the enemy's always been able to beguile us and mislead us. And he's still doing it today. And you guys are getting too fixated on technology. That's not a big deal. And, to God, these little things might as well be chariots for the most part. What kind of crazy craft or whatever these people have in their possession? I'm telling you, we're building it. I'm trying to tell you we're building it, just like we built their temples, just like we built the Tower of Babel, just like we built rockets, you understand? Just like we built everything, just like we built artificial intelligence, you understand? These things do not labor like how we labor. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Did they give us the plans? Did they give us some little tips on what we should do to pull off such marvelous feats like the pyramids, things like that? Of course. Again, as I mentioned, Jack Parsons earlier, it's not conspiracy theory. He claims that he literally got his recipe from the Antichrist himself. These things have always taught warfare, especially for you guys who believe in the Apocrypha, such as the Book of Enoch and all that, although I believe there's a lot of discrepancies in that book. And again, if people were more in their Bible instead of more of this fairy tale stuff, I think you guys would be able to see that, and you'd be able to spot the inconsistencies as well. But, even books of giants, books of Enoch mention these things, and they tell you how they taught us warfare. Again, we talked about deception such as makeup, whatever else, to make someone look more prettier, more younger, vice versa, whatever else. This has all been grooming, and it's grooming us into artificial acceptance of artificial reality, grafting in of the enemy's system. And we're going to end this video with the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is going to be the final straw. This is where we will be led to choose. Do you want to be part of this counterfeit artificial world? It may look cool. It may be more colorful. You may be getting promised superpowers, being smarter, faster, stronger, whatever else they're going to tell you and lie to you about. It's no different than when these women start putting Botox injecting into their face and lip plush and BBLs and everything else. It's grooming us into a situation where we accept being upgradable, where we become more and more artificial. You understand? This is once again spitting in the face of the Lord our God, claiming that, you know, we can do this better, we can be our own gods. It's never changed, guys. It never has changed. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. They want you to believe, you know, these people, they knew what pi was and everything else. When they built these, that's cool. You understand? These demons are knowledgeable. These devils are knowledgeable. They've been in the presence of the Lord our God himself, who created everything. You understand? Of course, they're going to be smarter than us, stronger than us, and everything else. But they do not surpass our Lord. And the word of the Lord is good, is what I'm trying to tell you. It's good to stand on. But you are going to be tempted. We're trying to, once again, fit into the mold and into the masses. And it's going to be counterfeit. His immortality that he's going to offer, it's perversion. It's an abomination. But it is counterfeit, and it's not the legitimate article with what the Lord our God can provide to us if we do stay true to him. And I'm telling you, the technology is the biggest part of this deception. When you watch a movie and you watch CGI and everything else, although it's getting worse, you know, as years go by, but you guys know what I'm talking about. You see this artificial intelligence crap, you know, these videos, these people look real. They bring back dead people like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jackson, and everything else. It's harder to determine what is real and what is fake today. But there's one thing that they cannot trick, that is the Holy Spirit. And that has been given to you after the Lord our God did die for you when he hung on that cross. You understand? And these influencers, I'm telling you, a lot of them are compromised. They're in on it. They want you to look, you know, pay more attention to this bell and whistle over here. But that is going to be part of the deception. They've been grooming us for years. I'm telling you, the majority of this stuff is man-made. Is there orbs? Is there little weird lights and crap like that that can be supernatural? Of course, guys. Of course. You know, but this is my video. It's been a long ramble. I just wanted to show you this thing that I caught tonight. I will do more videos on this in the future. You understand? We built this crap. I'm trying to tell you, these things have always had us build their stuff. It's not the other way around. You understand? They don't labor. They don't want to labor. They see that as beneath them. They did not craft these things. We crafted these things to worship, honor them, and to assist them at some point. They did not do this stuff on their own. They did not do it. They had us do it, you know, again, by sacrificing our children to them, whatever else. You need to also look up the Phoenicians. They're a very sophisticated civilization. They claim that they got their knowledge, everything from these creatures, these beings, okay? This isn't nothing new, especially if you have a biblical worldview, and this is nothing to get crazy about. But I'm telling you, this has men written on it, and men that are being misled, has always been the case in human history. I will talk to you guys later. God bless. And that's it. Bye.